The pyramids built by the pharaohs of Egypt's Old Kingdom are the most impressive tombs in human history. Aside from their sheer scale, they were remarkably well engineered, and some have survived almost intact to the present day. The techniques for building the pyramids evolved with incredible speed. Only half century separates the first pyramid, the step pyramid at Saqqara, which is just visible in the distance, from the Great Pyramid of Khufu. The Egyptians were able to perfect the construction and design of gigantic pyramids so quickly, thanks largely to the obsessive building program of one man, Snefru, first pharaoh of the Fourth Dynasty. Snefru was the most prolific pyramid builder in Egyptian history. Over the course of his long reign, he ordered the construction of 3 colossal pyramids, incorporating a total of something like 3.5 million cubic meters of stone. Along the way, he created the definitive form of the pyramids. Snefru's first attempt at a pyramid rose at Meidun, south of here. At first, it was a step pyramid with 7 and then 8 superimposed levels. In the last years of his reign, Snefru ordered the structure converted into a true pyramid with smooth sides, but the task was never completed. For an unknown reason, Snefru moved his court here, to Dahshur, around the 15th year of his reign, and began building the first true pyramid, the structure in front of us, now known as the Bent Pyramid. When they began work, Snefru's architects had never constructed anything like it, so they experimented, with ultimately disastrous results. The problem started with the foundations, which were set in unstable slate and clay. Another problem was the angle of the sides. The builders started with a very steep angle, setting the stones and courses leaning inward, as you can see here. Instead of continuing solid masonry all the way through the structure, they filled large parts with loose rubble, mortared with simple clay. As the pyramid rose and stresses on the poorly consolidated masonry grew, the structure began to show signs of collapse. Alarmed, the builders reduced the angle of the sides and began setting the blocks in horizontal courses, as you can kind of tell from this angle. This saved the pyramid, but left it with an odd bent profile, whence its name. Dissatisfied, Snefru ordered the construction of another pyramid, which we'll visit in a moment. Uniquely among Egyptian pyramids, the limestone casing stones are well preserved, probably because the steep sides made stone robbing difficult. As you can see, however, some blocks have been plundered from the base, exposing the rougher masonry within. Remarkably, the Bent Pyramid has 2 entrances. Tourists use this one, the lower one, on the north side, and you follow a long passageway to descend into its depths. There are 2 burial chambers, both with impressive corbelled ceilings. Neither was ever used. At the heart of the Bent Pyramid, filled with the squeaking of bats, is the upper tomb chamber. Like the lower chamber, it had an impressive corbelled ceiling. But the really remarkable thing here is down below, where cedar beams that are nearly 5 millennia old still brace the edges of the room. As soon as the Bent Pyramid was completed, and possibly before, Snefru set his men to work on another pyramid a short distance away. This is the Red Pyramid, so called from the color of its core. The casing stones, as usual, were stripped away centuries ago. Here, Snefru's builders applied the lessons they had learned during the construction of the Bent Pyramid. From the start, the sides rose at a much lower angle, so much lower that the Bent Pyramid has the lowest angle of all Egyptian pyramids. The interior is much simpler than the Bent Pyramids. From the entrance, high up on the pyramid side, a corridor descends to the depths, almost to ground level. In the late period, 2,000 years after the pyramid was completed, at least one man was buried in this corridor. His remains were discovered there in the 19th century. The corridor culminates in two tall antechambers, each crowned by an elegant corbelled vault. This is the first antechamber, with its beautiful corbelled vault. And through this low passage, the second antechamber. And through that passage, set high in the wall to discourage thieves, is the tomb chamber. And here, at last, is the tomb chamber. Despite all precautions, thieves came here, probably in the chaos that followed the collapse of the Old Kingdom. Blocks from the burial chamber's floor have been ripped up, and the ceiling is black with torch smoke. Only a few fragments of bone were found inside, but it was likely here that the greatest of the pyramid builders was finally laid to rest.